Peace and love, everybody. I am Alat Zaban Yashra Ala El, Chief Content Creator and Trustee for Put It Out There TV and NationalNoticeRecord.com and a few other things that's really not important. But what is important is that I was born and raised at Elyria, where the city of Elyria does business. I know that might be over some of y'all head, but either way it goes. I grew up in Elyria, and I am very familiar with the surcharge. That's what we're bringing this up. We're going to be talking about the debit card surcharge that we all deal with. So I've grown up in Elyria dealing with the debit card surcharge. You know, you come to a store, you're using a debit card or a credit card, you're spending less than $5 or you're spending less than $10, depending on the store's policy, then they're going to charge you an additional 50 cents, additional 35, additional 75, whatever their policy may be. I've grown up throughout the years being rather used to that. I never really had a complaint. I didn't like it, but it seemed like it was legit until I started looking into it. So when I started looking into it, come to find out that MasterCard, Visa, American Express, Discover, and all the other credit card companies out there that place their logos on your bank issued debit card or your prepaid debit card and your credit cards, they have specific rules established for the merchants that are selling goods to customers who are using those debit cards and credit cards with their logos on there. They have specific rules that the merchant has to agree to. Now, how I know this is a fact outside of what I'm getting ready to show you, how I know this is a fact is I currently have 3 active merchant accounts. And for each one of those merchant accounts, I had to agree that I would not. I had to agree for Discover, MasterCard, Visa, I think, and it was another one, American Express, I believe. But I had to agree that I would not surcharge customers who were utilizing debit cards or prepaid debit cards with their logos. I had to agree that I wouldn't do that. And I also had to agree that if I was going to place a surcharge on any cards with their logos on there, then the surcharge can only be applied to credit cards. And if I was going to apply that charge to credit cards, that I would have to fill out a form and give them 30-day notice. I would have to either give my payment processor company 30-day notice, or I would have to give MasterCard, Visa, American Express, I would have to give them 30-day notice before I could start applying that surcharge to people who are utilizing credit cards. Notice, please listen, and notice that I am focusing on credit card transactions. So let me tell you about this experience that I had today, November 24th, 2021, at this location here, GasGo, which is a hybrid corner store gas station located at here 237 Lave Avenue, Elyria, Ohio 44035, and their Sunoco gas station number is 015933000. You may want to write that down and record that, because I'm pretty sure you have experienced this same thing at this same location. All right, so me also being a merchant, I go to this location, GasGo, 237 Lave Avenue, Elyria, Ohio, 44035. And I buy 4 pieces of merchandise that are taxable. They're $1 a piece. And with the tax, it comes up to $4.26. Right? Fine, 26 cents, no big deal. We're not going to argue about that. Keep it moving. Though me, or who I am, those who know me, I could push the issue on the whole tax, but we're not going to do that. 26 cents. Wow, let me pay this 26 cents. Keep it moving. Right? So I'm pulling out my debit card, and the clerk notices that I'm pulling out my debit card. So he's like, "You're using a card?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm using a debit card." I already knew what it was on the low, right? So as soon as I put in my debit card, the price on the screen changes from $4.26 to $4.76 magically from $4.26 to $4.76, right? So instead of processing the payment, I pull out my debit card and I said, "Now wait a minute, man. Now look," I said, "I know that you can place this surcharge on credit cards." I'm like, "But you cannot do that on debit cards or prepaid debit cards." I said, I want to let you know that I'm a merchant as well. I have merchant accounts and we have to make an agreement. I said we to let him know is we merchants, because we got it's a fraternity, the merchant fraternity, right? I said, so we merchants have an agreement with MasterCard, Visa, American Express, all the others that we cannot surcharge the debit cards that are using their logos or the prepaid debit cards, but we can surcharge the credit cards, right? I said, you can't do that. He said, but I'm doing it, man. What do you trying to be smart, trying to be snide. Now, excuse my accent, but if this is a store that is ran by Arabs, right? And this is important that I do this because when they come into our communities, when these Arabs come into our communities, they don't have any respect for us whatsoever at all. I know they get away with that, my nigga, and they pay a little bit of the rap music, and they let you, buy blunts with the food stamp card and things of this nature, right? But the thing is, they're getting over and they're enriching themselves unjustly on the people. We're going to show you why. All right. So I tell him he can't charge me that, right? So he gets ready to take back the products that I'm purchasing. And I'm like, oh, so you're going to deny me service? Is that what you're going to do? You're going to deny me service? So he hesitated, because I think that sounds a little too intelligent for somebody that looks like me to be challenging and asking him that question. So you're going to deny me service, right? So I said, you know what? Because I'm pressed for time. I said, you know what? Go ahead and charge me that little fee. Go ahead and charge it. I'm going to pay it. Charge it. Let's go. I said, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to call my bank and make a complaint. I'm going to contact MasterCard and make a complaint. And then what's going to happen is they're going to flag your merchant account for this issue. The same way somebody could, file a dispute with PayPal, through their financial institution, and it flags the payment, and then it takes the payment back from you as the PayPal merchant until the issue you win the dispute and PayPal gives you your money back. It's the same situation, right? He said, so what do you mean I did it? He thought he won. But I do too much reading to be played like a sucker like that. I'm not about to be played. So for y'all that gas and go over there on Lave Avenue in Elyria, y'all better stop playing with us because this video is going to get around. Tell all your family members and your buddies, stop coming in our communities and unjustly enriching themselves and violating their merchant account agreements with MasterCard and American Express and Visa and all them other guys. Now, let me tell y'all, and they're not the only store in Elyria that does this. Now, how they try to get over with this is in Ohio, right? In Ohio, there's no law that states that they can't do the surcharge, right? So that's what they bank on. But again, the thing is they have an agreement with business with institutions such as MasterCard and Visa and things of this nature, all right? And they agree that they're not going to hit those surcharges on the debit card. But let's prove that, right? So as you can see here, we are on a MasterCard page, a MasterCard website. In fact, the web address, I'm going to read it to you. It's mastercard.us/en-business/support/merchant. I'm gonna just put it in the link in the description. All right. But I just wanted to prove to you that we are on a MasterCard website. So just wanted to make that clear. All right. So what merchant surcharge rules mean to you? So check this out. Pursuant to a settlement of the U.S. merchant class litigation, MasterCard modified certain rules and business practices to permit U.S. merchants to apply an extra checkout fee, also known as a surcharge, to customers who pay with MasterCard branded credit cards. The rule change permitting such surcharging went into effect on January 27, 2013. These fees are not allowed on debit MasterCard or MasterCard prepaid cards. I want to make it clear that I have a debit MasterCard issued from my bank. I want to make that clear, all right? It goes on to say, a summary of the rule changes required by the settlement that MasterCard acquirers will provide to their merchant can be accessed here. So again, once you click on that link and visit this page, you'll get access to this information. The details regarding the terms under which merchants may impose a surcharge on MasterCard credit transactions can be found in the specific no surcharge rule modification that can be accessed via clicking here. You'll get access to that. Now, my question is just to make y'all think. If they were allowed to just willy-nilly put a surcharge fee on these cards, why would MasterCard have a surcharge or something called a no surcharge rule? Let's go on. Okay, merchant registration with MasterCard and acquirer. It says a merchant's ability to apply a surcharge is conditioned on the merchant's satisfaction of certain disclosure requirements. These disclosure requirements include advance notice to both MasterCard and the merchant's acquirer of the merchant's intention to impose a charge no less than 30 days before the merchant implements a surcharge. Now, for those who don't know, the merchant's acquirer is the payment processing company. So for instance, a lot of people you may know who process payments online, they may use PayPal. And PayPal has agreements with MasterCard, Visa, American Express that allows payments to be transacted through them. So PayPal is a merchant acquirer or a payment processor. So a merchant acquirer is a payment processor. Just want to make that clear. All right. So it says here that they have disclosure requirements that include advance notice to both MasterCard, which I'm pretty sure is with Visa as well, and to the payment processing company of the merchant's intention to impose a surcharge no less than 30 days before the merchant implements a surcharge. How do we have proof that these merchants, how do we have proof that Gas and Go has even done this with MasterCard? How do we have proof? Right? Let's keep going. All right, it says a merchant can satisfy its disclosure obligation to MasterCard by clicking here and providing the following information. There's a form they have to fill out. They have to give the merchant name, merchant contact information, address, phone, and email, number of locations surcharging, type of channel, face-to-face, e-commerce, mail order, or phone order, type of surcharge, brand or product. Merchants should contact their acquirers with regard to the acquirer notification requirements. So it's saying here, if you make payments through PayPal, then you're going to have to contact PayPal about this surcharge to get the policies and how to move forward on it. If you make payments, if you take payments through Square, then if you want to hit people with the surcharge on credit cards, then you're going to have to contact Square so they can fill you in on the proper process and channels to go through in order to make sure you are fulfilling the requirements so that you can properly charge these surcharge fees without violating your merchant agreement. All right, here you go. Type of permissible surcharges. Merchants are permitted to apply either a brand level surcharge or a product level surcharge to MasterCard credit cards. A brand level surcharge is one where the merchant charges the same percentage on all MasterCard credit cards. You see, they keep talking about credit cards. Y'all hear that? Credit cards. A product level surcharge is one where the merchant imposes a surcharge on a particular MasterCard credit product. In both circumstances, the level of the surcharge is subject to a cap. Again, this is credit. Check this out. The level of the fee that a merchant may charge a cardholder is capped in relation to the merchant's cost for MasterCard credit acceptance. For merchants who choose to impose a brand level surcharge, a merchant may only charge a MasterCard cardholder at the lesser of the merchant's average effective merchant discount rate that the merchant pays its acquirer for MasterCard credit acceptance, or the maximum surcharge cap, which can be found below. For merchants that impose a product level surcharge, the surcharge must not be more than the merchant's cost to accept the particular MasterCard credit product, minus the Durbin Amendment's cap on debit interchange fees. So look how complicated this gets when it comes to the surcharge. They are very specific to how the surcharge can be charged. All right. Merchant disclosure to consumer. Check this out. A merchant must provide clear disclosure to the merchant's customers of the merchant's surcharging practices at the point of interaction, which shall include the amount of the surcharge and the dollar amount of the surcharge on the transaction receipt provided by the merchant to its customers. Merchants should refer to the specific rule for additional consumer disclosure obligations. So they have obligations that they have to meet. Nothing in the MasterCard rules affects any obligation of a merchant to comply with applicable state or federal laws, including but not limited to state laws that may prohibit or restrict surcharging of credit transactions, and federal and state laws regarding deceptive or misleading disclosures. See, now this is where we're getting into legalities and law violations. I just want to make it clear, and I made sure to look all over. There was not any notification disclosure in the store whatsoever about that surcharge fee. I wasn't made aware of the surcharge fee until I put my debit card until right before I put the debit card in the card reader to process the payment. That's when it popped up. He didn't tell me about it. I saw it pop up on the screen. That's when it popped up, right? So there is no disclosure. It's deceptive, right? Now it says other requirements should the merchant accept competing credit networks. For merchants that accept other brands of credit payment networks, such as American Express, Discover, or PayPal, there are other requirements around the circumstances in which such a merchant could surcharge MasterCards that depend on the cost of those brands to the merchant and those brands surcharging restrictions. A merchant should refer to the specific rules and or contact their acquirer for greater detail concerning those requirements. Relevant data for merchants who surcharge. The maximum surcharge cap is 4%, right? Now let's say I go into the store. I buy something that comes up to $4.76, and the store has a policy that says, well, we charge you 50 cents if you spend less than $5. 50 cents is 10%. 50 cents is 10% of $5. They are stealing is what's going on. All right, so we just read from MasterCard. Let's be clear. Let's go over here to Visa and see what Visa says, right? As you can see, visa.com merchant surcharging. There's all you need to know right there. So if y'all want to look that up, you can. It says, what should I consider when determining, let's start at the beginning. What is a payment card surcharge? A payment card surcharge, also known as a checkout fee, is an additional fee that a merchant adds to a consumer's bill when he or she uses a card for payment. Can I add a surcharge to card transactions? As a result of a legal settlement to resolve claims brought by a group of U.S. merchants, and this what makes it so damn bad. It's U.S. merchants that sued to make it so we as merchants can actually hit y'all with these surcharge fees. I want to make it clear. The whole reason why the rule has been placed, the law has been made to where they're able, we are as merchants, because I'm a merchant, to able to hit your credit cards with surcharge fees is merchants that sued so we can do this. And then it's merchants who violate it. Isn't that a very ironic thing? Merchants sue for the right to be able to hit customers with surcharges on credit cards, and then merchants go and violate it and take advantage of it and charge the surcharge fee on debit cards as well. The irony. Let's read this. As a result of a legal settlement to resolve claims brought by a group of U.S. merchants, merchants in the U.S. and U.S. territories may add a surcharge to certain credit card transactions starting January 27, 2013. Merchants who choose the surcharge must follow consumer disclosure and other requirements agreed to as part of the settlement. Now again, this is coming from Visa. We just read the same damn thing about this settlement right over here on the MasterCard page, did we not? MasterCard said the same thing. Here it is, right here. MasterCard said the same thing. Let's go. When can I begin to surcharge? This is a questionnaire for merchants. Make it so bad. U.S. merchants must first notify Visa and their acquirer, their payment processor, PayPal, Square, Stripe, of their intent to surcharge at least 30 days prior to implementing surcharging. Merchants can submit a notification form to Visa at visa.com/merchant surcharging. Merchants may not begin surcharging until January 27th, 2013. So I know a lot of you are probably like, well, I was paying a surcharge years before that even became legal. Right. Me too. But that's because, that's where the lawsuit came from. Customers started to complain. And so, merchants took it to the courts. Like, we should have a right to charge customers a surcharge on these debit cards and credit cards, but the courts only agreed that they could do it on credit cards. And this is what you got. All right. So it says, what should I consider when determining whether or not to assess a surcharge on card transactions? Before choosing to surcharge, U.S. merchants may want to consider a number of factors, including the potential impact on your customer's experience. I had a negative experience at this location today, Gas Go. I had a negative experience, very bad experience. What your competitors might be doing, some of their competitors around them are not doing this. You go to Marathon over there on Furnace, West River, by Cascade, they don't have that surcharge fee on credit cards or debit cards. And if they do on credit cards, it's the law, it's legal. They can do that. So what information must be disclosed to your customers and how? Okay, so they must inform you as the customer. They got to give you the law, all of that, and how. Cost of credit cards and other forms of payment. Question: I am a merchant who intends to surcharge. What is the process I need to follow? U.S. merchants that intend to surcharge are required to notify Visa and your acquirer at least 30 days in advance of beginning to surcharge. A notification form to Visa can be submitted at, here you go, limited surcharging to credit cards only. Limited surcharging to credit cards only. No surcharging debit and prepaid cards. Yet again, locations such as Gas Go, right, doing business with Sunoco, right? Sunoco, don't do that when you go to a regular Sunoco gas station. They are stealing. Gas Go on 237 Lake Avenue, Elyria, Ohio, 44035 is stealing, and them and a bunch of other merchants that operate and do business just like them have been stealing and coming into our communities and stealing and going back to theirs for the longest. It is just as simple as that. Now, what do you do to resolve an issue like this? You do what I do today. First of all, you take the receipt that they charged you, right? You take the receipt, you keep that laminated, make a copy of it, scan it, whatever the case may be. You also make sure you contact your financial institution. I don't know who that may be. You contact them by calling the 1-800 number on the back of your card. You make a complaint and you tell them they charged me a surcharge fee on my debit card, and I know that they can only do that on credit cards. You make a complaint, and then you say, I also want to be transferred over to the dispute department so that I can get my surcharge money back. That is exactly what you do. So when I went to Gas Go today, I had the experience that I had. He wanted to be snide. What you talking about, man? I just did it. What you gonna do? He thought he was smart. I immediately got home, couldn't wait to get home. Called the 1-800 number on the back of my Huntington Bank card, right? Made the complaint about that. This department was specifically for the surcharge. And then I had them transfer me over to the dispute department for the surcharge so I can get my money back. I filed a claim. And I suggest that you do the same thing. And I suggest that if you live in Elyria, Ohio, matter of fact, in any state in the so-called United States where they are doing this, they are not allowed to charge surcharges on debit cards and prepaid debit cards. They are only allowed to charge those surcharges on credit cards. It doesn't matter which state it is. So share this video far and wide. Make those complaints with the 1-800 numbers on the back of your cards, or whatever the number is. Make those disputes with your financial institutions so that you can get your money back, so that these merchants can learn, especially the ones who are not from your community but come and overcharge you and say this stick of gum is 50 cents, but when you come to the register, he'll tell you it's 75, and they're taking and stealing from the community and taking the money and going back to their communities with them, not putting anything in the community, and they're allowing all types of crimes to be committed in their parking lots. These type of people need to be taught a lesson. They need to learn, and they learn by you hitting them in the pockets. So please make sure that you share this video, and make sure that you like, share, and subscribe to our email list and Put It Out There TV. Link is also in the description. We appreciate you allowing us to take up so much of your time. Once again, I am Elatazar Ben Yashar Allah El, also known as Judas' son. Thank you. 1.